Hi guys, it's Mandy here. So, now that the Rings of Power series has finally ended, I'm now starting to believe that what the showrunners have actually done, which everyone seems to have interpreted as being a boost of women, saying women are strong, women are capable, women blah blah blah, I believe it's actually a ploy to make people think that so that they will argue against it, when in reality they're actually making an argument that says, look at what happens when they try to be men. It doesn't work because of the fact that women cannot behave like men because they just come off as bitchy, demanding characters. It doesn't work when women do it because they don't use diplomacy. They just become demanding bitches. And they have no logical sense. Look how ridiculous it is when a woman tries to fight 4 fully grown men and wins. Look how ridiculous it is when a woman who is half the size of a group of men tries to teach soldiers who actually should be trained by a properly trained man, even if she is meant to be a 1,000-year-old elf. It just looks ridiculous. And look how stupid it is that women are put in charge of countries, because look at what happens to them when they're put in charge. I mean, I think really this is what the showrunners were actually trying to do. They're actually trying to show how stupid women actually are, whilst pretending to be boosting women. So if that is actually the case, they've succeeded in doing what they intended, which was to use a story that everyone knows and loves to get people talking about it, when they're actually showing us the reasons why women cannot be men, because it just demonstrates how stupid women look. So maybe in a way, and I'm not defending the show, it's a stupid show, but maybe in a way, if that was actually the intention, that's what they've done. They've successfully made it evident how stupid women look when they try to become men, because it's just not feasible. Women are not men. They're not built the same way. They don't think the same way. They are emotionally driven. Therefore, they behave differently in situations that men would behave differently because they don't run off their emotions. But this is the thing that we don't think about. We just go, oh, they're trying to boost women and they're trying to make women look equally as strong as men. Therefore, they're being idiots, rather than, hang on a second, is this actually what they're trying to say? But then again, there's the argument, if that's what they were intending to do, why are they trying to make women look so stupid? Why can't you just write a really good, strong character and just use the known female traits to make her do things successfully without making her seem like a bitch? I believe that the reason for that is because these guys obviously have not studied the differences between women and men. And I think that's a problem that a lot of writers tend to do. They don't tend to think in terms of, hang on, a woman is different from a man. How do they behave and think differently from a man? How can I then learn the traits of a woman, or vice versa, to make sure that my character is better, so that their choices, the decisions that they make, work? A lot of the time in films, people talk about Ripley being a character that was originally meant to be a man, but they changed her to a woman. But obviously during the process of changing her from a man to a woman, they had to tweak certain behaviors, because during the director had to discuss with Sigourney Weaver about how she would behave in certain situations, and probably Sigourney Weaver quite likely told him, I don't think Ripley would behave like this, because she as a woman was saying, I wouldn't behave like this because I am a woman, I'm not a man, And you see in certain moments that her behavior is distinctly more feminine. Yes, she does at one point in an interview say that during the scene when, I forget what the other girl's called, but when the girl slaps her across the face, she said that during one of the takes, the woman actually slapped her for real, and she cried, and she got annoyed because she thought Ripley wouldn't cry. Which is a fair enough argument. You can say that some women can take a slap without crying, but some women don't. Sigourney Weaver herself does cry when she gets slapped, obviously, but she doesn't feel that Ripley would. And Sigourney Weaver, she does have emotional responses to the situation, when she's trying to defuse the bomb and get the ship to stop detonating. She can't get it to stop, and she responds emotionally to the situation. She throws something at the computer because she gets so frustrated. You could argue that is an emotional response that a woman would have. But like I said, if you were to look at her, the difference between her and her female co-worker, the other co-worker is far more emotional, which is very realistic for a woman. A woman in that situation would be absolutely petrified, and her emotions would completely overrun her, and she would be completely paralyzed because her emotional state is one of absolute fear. Whereas you see the men are, yes, they're terrified, but they are driven more to protect her than anything else. Their instinct is to be the ones to do the act of protecting, whereas the women's response is to escape the danger. So, like, you take, for example, the scene where she has gone to the hospital wing and they discover that the face hugger has gotten off John Hurt's face, and, you know, they're looking for it. And when it lands on her shoulder, her initial response isn't to fight it. Her initial response was shake it off and back away from it. She wanted to escape from it. Whereas, what was the captain's response? The captain's response was to immediately dive in front of her and protect her. That's what the men did. Their immediate response is to protect women. You know, the men want to go towards the danger in order to fight it, whereas the women want to escape the danger in order to survive. So that makes a lot more sense. As an example of good female writing, yes, you could say that Ripley is quite masculine in her behaviors, but that's because she has been trained in her position to think rationally in a certain way. You know, she's had to be trained to behave like that, whereas obviously her co-worker has not been trained in the same way, because maybe she works in a different area that doesn't require so much stoicism. And so, you know, those are elements that are in good writing have been taken into account. And, you know, during the directions, you've had discussions with the actors and stuff like that. So those things sort of make a lot more sense in that context. But in the Rings of Power, like I said, the writers have, I think, deliberately chosen to make Galadriel the way she is, because they want people to hate her, because they want people to realize how stupid a woman looks when she is behaving like a man. Women don't go into battle unless they absolutely have to, unless the battle comes to them, and then they will either choose to fight in order to protect their families, or they will just run. But the fight has to come from a protection standpoint. They have to have something to protect. If a woman's family is at risk in her own home, she will fight. But if there is nothing for her to protect other than herself, then her main choice will probably most likely be to run. Like I said in Alien, the two women, their choices are more to run away rather than to go towards the danger. Whereas the men go towards. The men go to battle. Women run from the battle because they need to be around. It's what you see in every film when a group of people are told that they must hide. It's usually the women and children, because the women and children are always a priority to keep going, because the women need to be able to look after the young. Because if there's no one there to look after the babies, then who is going to look after the babies, because all the women have joined the men in battle? So that's my understanding of what I think the showrunners were actually trying to do. So all these videos where people are going, the showrunners are so stupid, the showrunners are so stupid. Yes, the showrunners are stupid, but maybe at the same time they are really clever in their attempt to try and make women look stupid, because they're trying to say women cannot be men. This does not work. Women should not be on the field of battle, because look at what happens when a woman is on the field of battle. Yes, you could argue, but Eowyn goes into the field of battle and she was successful, yes, but when she goes up against the Witch King, the fact that she was a female, a woman, gave her power over him, because he was the only character in that who could be defeated by a woman. But the way J.R.R. Tolkien wrote her was not to defeminize her, but to accept the fact that she is a woman who is determined to try and protect. I mean, she's the only one in the entire army who has a person who is weaker than her and weaker than everyone else to protect. She's there to protect Mary. In a way, you could say she starts off wanting to go to battle because of her pride, because she wants to be like the men. She wants to prove that she is equally as capable as the men. She doesn't want to be kept in a cave. She wants to be with the men. But then she's also got Mary, who spurs her on, because in order for Mary to be able to fight, she has to be there to help him fight, because she has to protect him. Again, it's this act of protection. The men are, yes, you could say the men on the general are protecting the world, but she is protecting Mary. She is there to protect an individual person who she rides immediately with. She is a mother figure. She is there to protect him. And if he wasn't in the battle, she might well have turned and run. She might well have quit very quickly like that, because she would have seen what she was up against and gone, I can't handle this, and gone, because she didn't have a reason to fight other than her own pride. So that's the thing. You've got to consider the differences between women and men are extremely vital in telling a good story and telling people how women's responses to dangerous situations really convey their characters and tell you everything you need to know. So there's my rant for today, and I hope you enjoyed it. This will be my last video, I hope, on the Rings of Power, because there's not much to say that everyone else hasn't already said. And I don't intend to actually watch the show, because I don't want to give Amazon even 5 minutes of my time. So I will see you guys in the next video, and have a good one. Bye.